Good morning. In the continuation of my series of the law acts and other, uh, details, uh, today's topic of discussion of mine is lease in the Transfer of Property Act. And the Transfer of Property Act is very important these days, as I have seen a lot of landlords forcing the tenants to pay up rent in spite of knowing the fact that no business is being taken place, and the tenants have not been able to do any work at the tenanted premises, but still landlords are bent upon to recover their rents. And there could be situations where in fact a landlord is also a bona fide landlord, where he needs the rent to run his house or run his basic expenses, and the tenant is also doing business there, something like pharma or FMCG, which are still running. So a rent can be basically diversified into two main laws. One comes under the lease, which is Chapter 5 of Transfer of Property Act, and second is the Delhi Rent Control Act 1958. So now, today, as per the requirements, I believe Supreme Court has held that the rent has to be paid, but as per certain newspaper publications and the normal business circle conversations which I overhear, and I believe that there is no business running, and tenants are trying to negotiate with the landlords, and if things go wrong, the rental rates will also come down. And force majeure clause, this is the most important thing, whether force majeure clause is applicable upon tenancy or not. So courts are taking a very overall view over this, but I believe that force majeure clause should be applicable upon the tenancies, or rates of the rent should definitely be negotiated with the landlords. So in this series of my video, I'm gonna discuss the law of lease, which is in Chapter 5 of Transfer of Property Act, starting from Section 105 till Section 117 of Transfer of Property Act 1882. So let me start now. Now, this is Chapter 5 of Lease of Immovable Properties, Section 105 to 117, Transfer of Property Act 1882. Section 105, Lease defined. A lease of immovable property is a transfer of a right to enjoy such property made for a certain time, express or implied or in perpetuity, in consideration of a price paid or promised, or of money, a share of crops, service, or any other thing of value to be rendered periodically or on specified occasions to the transferor by the transferee who accepts the transfer on such terms. Now, here, lesser, lessee, premium, and rent defined. The transferor is called the lessor, the transferee is called the lessee, the price is called the premium, and the money, share, service, or other thing to be rendered is called the rent. Now, the essential elements of a lease are basically, there are five essential elements of a lease. First, the parties. Second, the subject matter, that is the immovable property. The third, demise, that is a partial transfer. Fourth, the term or period of the lease. Fifth, the consideration or rent. So now, coming to section 106, which says duration of certain leases in absence of written contract or local usage. Subclause 1. In the absence of a contract or local law or usage to the contrary, a lease of immovable property for agricultural or manufacturing purposes shall be deemed to be a lease from year to year, terminable on the part of either lessor or lessee by 6 months' notice, and a lease of immovable property for any other purpose shall be deemed to be a lease from month to month, terminable on the part of either lessor or lessee by 15 days notice. Subclause 2. Notwithstanding anything contained in other law for the time being in force, the period mentioned in subsection 1 shall commence from the date of receipt of notice. Subclause 3. A notice under subsection 1 shall not be deemed to be invalid merely because the period mentioned therein falls short of the period specified under that subsection, where a suit or proceeding is filed after the expiry of the period mentioned in the subsection. Subclause 4. Every notice under subsection 1 must be in writing, signed by or on behalf of the person giving it, and either be sent by post to the party who is intended to be bound by it, or be tendered or delivered personally to such party or to one of his family or servants at his residence, or affixed to a conspicuous part of the property. So this is what section 106 says. Now coming to section 107, leases how made. A lease of immovable property from year to year or for any term exceeding 1 year, or reserving a yearly rent, can be made only by a registered document. Bracket. All other lease of immovable property may be made either by a registered instrument or by oral agreement accompanied by delivery of possession. Again bracket. Where a lease of immovable property is made by a registered instrument, such instrument, or where there are more instruments than one, each such instrument shall be executed by both the lessor and the lessee, provided that the state government may from time to time, by notification in official gazette, direct that lease of immovable property other than leases from year to year for any term exceeding 1 year, or reserving a yearly rent, or any class of such leases, may be made by unregistered instrument or by oral agreement without delivery of possession. So this is how leases are made. This is defined in section 107. Now coming to section 108, this is the longest section of the Transfer of Property Act, which defines lease and its peripherals. Section 108, rights and liabilities of lessor and lessee. In the absence of a contract or local usage to the contrary, the lessor and the lessee of immovable property, as against one another, respectively, possess the rights and are subject to the liabilities mentioned in the rules next following, or such of them as are applicable to the property leased. Now A. Rights and liabilities of the lessor. A. The lessor is bound to disclose to the lessee any material defect in the property with reference to its intended use, of which the former and the latter is not aware, and which the latter could not with ordinary care discover. B. The lessor is bound on the lessee's request to put him in possession of the property. C. The lessor shall be deemed to contract with the lessee that if the latter pays the rent reserved by the lease and performs the contracts binding on the lease, he may hold the property during the time limited by the lease without interruption. The benefit of such contract shall be annexed to and go with the lessee's interest as such, and may be enforced by every person in whom that interest is for the whole or any part thereof from time to time vested. Now B. Coming to rights and liabilities of lessee. D. If during the continuance of the lease any accession is made to the property, such accession bracket subject to the law relating to alluvion for the time being in force shall be deemed to be comprised in the lease. E. If by fire, tempest or flood or violence of any army or of a mob or other irresistible force, any material part of the property be wholly destroyed or rendered substantially and permanently unfit for the purposes for which it was let, the lease shall, at the option of the lessee, be void. So, my point here is that this is one of the most important sections which the Supreme Court or the High Courts need to amend or look into, as the section clearly talks about fire, tempest, flood, violence, army, mob, irresistible force, any material part of property be destroyed. So, how is a property destroyed? This has to be interpreted. If someone is not able to visit that property, use that property, but this pandemic is unseen, you can't see the pandemic, but still there is a fear, there is a panic, and people are taking safety measures not to visit any such place. And most of the businesses are run on rented properties. So, my point is, Section 108, subclause E, has to be looked into by the higher courts. Now, coming to F, if the lessor neglects to make within a reasonable time after notice any repairs which he is bound to make to the property, the lessee may make the same himself and deduct the expense of such repairs with interest from the rent or otherwise recover it from the lessor. Now, coming to G, if the lessor neglects to make any payment which he is bound to make, and which, if not made by him, is recoverable from the lessee or against the property, the lessee may make such payment himself or deduct it with interest from the rent or otherwise recover it from the lessor. H, the lessee may, bracket, even after the determination of the lease, remove at any time all things which he has attached to the earth, provided he leaves the property in the state in which he received it. So this is where a lot of litigation happens, that there was an as is where is clause, and you can't evict the property, every fixture, you can't remove the fixtures. So this clause comes into play. Now, coming to I, when a lease of uncertain duration determines by any means except the fault of the lessee, he or his legal representative is entitled to all the crops planted or sown by the lessee and growing upon the property when the lease determines, and to free ingress and egress to gather and carry them. Now, J, the lessee may transfer absolutely or by way of mortgage or sublease the whole or any part of his interest in the property, and any transferee of such interest or part may again transfer it. The lessee shall not, by reason only of such transfer, cease to be subject to any of the liabilities attaching to the lease. Nothing in this clause shall be deemed to authorize a tenant having an untransferable right of occupancy, the farmer of an estate, in respect of which default has been made in paying revenue, or the lessee of an estate under the management of a court of wards to assign his interest as such tenant, farmer, or lessee. Now, K, the lessee is bound to disclose to the lessor any facts as to the nature or extent of the interest which the lessee is about to take, of which the lessee is and the lessor is not aware, and which materially increases the value of such interest. L, the lessee is bound to pay or tender at the proper time and place the premium or rent to the lessor or his agent in his behalf. M, the lessee is bound to keep, and on the termination of the lease, to restore the property in as good condition as it was in at the time when he was put in possession, subject only to the changes caused by reasonable wear and tear or irresistible force, and to allow the lessor and his agents at all reasonable times during the term to enter upon the property and inspect the condition thereof, and give or leave notice of any defect in such condition. And when such defect has been caused by any act or default on the part of the lease, his servants or agents, he is bound to make it good within 3 months after such notice, has been given or left. And if the lessee becomes aware of any proceedings to recover the property or any part thereof, or of any encroachment made upon, or any interference with the lessor's rights concerning such property, he is bound to give with reasonable diligence notice thereof to the lessor. O. The lessee may use the property and its products as a person of ordinary prudence would use them, if, if they were his own. But he must not use or permit another to use the property for a purpose other than that for which it was leased, or fell, like timber, pull down or damage buildings belonging to the lessor, or work mines or quarries not open when the lease was granted, or commit any other act which is destructive or permanently injurious thereto. Now, P. He must not, without the lessor's consent, erect on the property any permanent structure except for agricultural purpose. Q. On the determination of the lease, the lessee is bound to put to the lessor into possession of the property. So this was section 108. Now coming to section 109, rights of lessor's transferee. If the lessor transfers the property leased or any part thereof or any part of his interest therein, the transferee, in the absence of a contract to the contrary, shall possess all the rights, and if the lessee so elects, be subject to all the liabilities of the lessor as to the property or part transferred, so long as he is the owner of it. But the lessor shall not, by reason only of such transfer, cease to be subject to any of the liabilities imposed upon him by the lease, unless the lessee elects to treat the transferee as the person liable to him, provided that the transferee is not entitled to arrears of rent due before the transfer, and that if the lessee, not having reason to believe that such transfer has been made, pays rent to the lessor, shall not be liable to pay such rent over again to the transferee. The lessor, the transferee, and the lessee may determine what proportion of the premium or rent reserved by the lease is payable in respect of the part so transferred, and in case they disagree, such determination may be made by any court having jurisdiction to entertain a suit for possession of the property leased. Now coming to section 110, exclusion of the day on which term commences. Where the time limited by a lease of immovable property is expressed as commencing from a particular day, in computing that time, such day shall be excluded. Where no day of commencement is named, the time so limited begins from the making of the lease. Duration of the lease for a year. Where the time so limited is a year or a number of years, in the absence of an express agreement to the contrary, the lease shall last during the whole anniversary of the day from which such time commences. Option to determine lease. Where the time so limited is expressed to be terminable before its expiration, and the lease omits no mention at whose option it is so terminable, the lessee and not the lessor shall have such option. Now coming to section 111, determination of lease. This is also a very important section. A lease of immovable property determines A. by efflux of time limited thereby, B. where such time is limited conditionally on the happening of some event by the happening of such event, C. where the interest of the lessor in the property terminates on his power to dispose of the same extends only to the happening of any event by the happening of such event, D. in case the interests of the lessee and the lessor in the whole of the property become vested at the same time in one person in the same right, E. by express surrender, that is to say, in case the lessee yields up his interest under the lease to the lessor by mutual agreement between them, F. by implied surrender, G. by forfeiture, that is to say, in case the lessee breaks an express condition, which provides that on breach thereof the lessor may re-enter. Second, in case the lessee renounces his character as such by setting up a title in a third person or by claiming his title in himself. 3. The lessee is adjudicated and insolvent, and the lease provides that the lessor may re-enter on the happening of such event. And in the lessor of his transferee gives notice to the notice in writing to the lessee of his intention to determine the lease. H. On the expiration of a notice to determine the lease or to quit or of intention to quit the property leased duly given by one party to the other. So this was section 111. Now coming to section 112, waiver of forfeiture. A forfeiture under section 111 clause G is waived by acceptance of rent which has become due since the forfeiture, or by distress for such rent, or by any other act on the part of the lessor showing an intention to treat the lease as subsisting, provided that the lessor is aware that the forfeiture has been incurred. Provided also that where rent is accepted after the institution of a suit to eject the lease on the ground of forfeiture, such acceptance is not a waiver. Now coming to section 113, waiver of notice to quit. A notice given under section 111 clause H is waived with the express or implied consent of the person to whom it is given by any act on the part of the person giving it showing an intention to treat the lease as subsisting. Now coming to section 114, relief against forfeiture for the non-payment of rent. Where a lease of immovable property has determined by forfeiture for non-payment of rent and the lessor sues to eject the lessee, if at the hearing of the suit the lessee pays or tenders to the lessor the rent in arrears together with the interest and his full cost of the suit, or gives such security as the court thinks sufficient for making such payment within 15 days, the court may, in lieu of making a decree for ejectment, pass an order relieving the lessee against the forfeiture, and thereupon the lessee shall hold the property leased and as if the forfeiture had not occurred. So now this was section 114. Now coming to section 115, which states this is 114A. Section 114A says relief against forfeiture in certain other cases. Where a lease of immovable property was determined by forfeiture for a breach of an express condition which provides that on breach thereof the lessor may re-enter, no suit for ejectment shall lie unless and until the lessor has served on the lessee a notice in writing, A. specifying the particulars breach of complained of, B. if the breach is capable of remedy, requiring the lessee to remedy the breach, and the lessee fails within a reasonable time from the date of the service of the notice to remedy the breach, if it is capable of remedy. Nothing in this section shall apply to an express condition against the assigning, underletting, parting with the possession, or disposing of the property leased, or to an express condition relating to forfeiture in case of non-payment of rent. Now coming to section 115, effect of surrender and forfeiture on under leases. The surrender, express or implied, of a lease of immovable property does not prejudice an under lease of the property or any part thereof previously granted by the lessee on terms and conditions substantially the same as those of the original lease, but unless the surrender is made for the purpose of obtaining a new lease, the rent payable, and the contracts binding on, the under lease shall be respectively payable to and enforceable by the lessor. The forfeiture of such a lease annuls all such under leases except where such forfeiture has been procured by the lessor in fraud of the under leases, or relief against the forfeiture is granted under section 114. Now coming to section 116, effect of holding over. If a lessee or under lessee of property remains in possession thereof after the determination of the lease granted to the lessee, and the lessor or his legal representative accepts rent from the lessee or under lease or otherwise assents to his continuing in possession, the lease is, in the absence of an agreement to the contrary, renewed from year to year or from month to month according to the purpose for which the property is leased as specified in section 106. Now coming to the last section, that is 117 of lease. Section 117 says exemption of leases for agricultural purposes. None of the provisions of this chapter apply to leases for agricultural purposes except in so far as the state government, by notification published in the official gazette, declared all or any of such provisions to be so applicable in the case of all or any of such leases together with or subject to those of the local law, if any, for the time being in force. Such notification shall not take effect until the expiry of 6 months from the date of its publication. So, this is what I have spoken about lease law in India, and there is one Delhi Rent Control Act as well, which is governed when the rent is below 3500 rupees. But as you know, most of the rents are run from 35,000 to 35 lakhs to 35 crores. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that negotiate with your landlord or with your tenant and come up to a good settlement. Courts are always, but still courts are always there to help in case any dispute arises. And you should take care of your businesses, your family. Stay home, stay safe during this pandemic, and help the government to maintain peace and order in the city. Thank you so much. I hope this video should be helpful to all the landlords and the tenants, and or any person who is having any dispute with regard to the tenancy. So thank you and have a very, very good day. Thank you.